The Holy Gospel according to Luke, the 15th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So Jesus told them this parable. Which one of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost." Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." Just so, I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
I hate it when I lose something. Anyone else? Only a few of us lose things, I guess? Okay. I mean, it feels like the most infuriating thing when you lose something, doesn't it? Because for me, it feels like it's all my fault. I had something in my possession, it was my responsibility, and now I failed because I can't find it. You know, I have no shortage of examples here, and the most recent one that I could think of was just this past Friday. You know, I was outside, I was working on straightening up the garage and trying to organize everything from the end of the summer and the end of the fair. And I was going back from the garage to the house and the house to the garage, and at some point I thought it might be really smart to carry the garage door opener with me so I can get in and out. And so I did. And then a little bit later I thought, you know, it's probably not very smart of me to carry the garage door opener with me so I can get in and out, and I set it down in a place that I would remember. Did I remember? No, I didn't. And I forgot about it completely until later that evening. Kim and Isaac and I decided to go out drive around the neighborhood a little bit, and we got out there to the garage. There's no garage door opener. So I had to leave Kim and Isaac, Charlotte was with Grandma, sitting and waiting for me as I went off trying to find this darn garage door opener, looking anywhere I could think that I might have put it, everywhere. Infuriating, right? I looked, and you know where you go at this point. Those crazy ideas start entering your head as to what might have happened. Does that happen to you too? You know, I started thinking, I wonder if I left it on the bed of my truck. And because I went somewhere later in the afternoon, so maybe when I drove off, it stayed on the bed until somewhere in the neighborhood it fell off. I bet it's sitting on the side of the road somewhere in Coal Camp. I have to retrace all my steps and go back and find it, or else someone else might. No, you know what happened? You know, I've been hearing about all these robberies lately. I bet I left it sitting on the driveway, and someone came by, and they looked at all my stuff, and they said, "That's what I want," and they took it. And they're going to come back later tonight and clean out my garage. Now I have to stay up all night and sit at the window and watch the garage and wait for someone to come. No, I have a better idea. I'm going to set up my laptop in the garage. I'm going to turn the camera on, and I'm going to get that person. No, they might steal the laptop too. No, you know, I know what happened. I must have taken it inside the house, and it met the same fate that so many others of our things have at the hands of Isaac. You probably know what I mean. One day I was in the kitchen, and in comes Isaac walking in, and he was carrying something, and he walks right up to the trash can, and he opens the lid, and he puts it in the trash can, and it was definitely not trash. I mean, that gives you a whole new argument when someone says, well, it couldn't have grown legs and walked off. Well, yeah, but something with legs walked off with it. I'm getting the impression you've all been there. Maybe not to that extent. Searching high and low, walking from place to place over and over again, when suddenly you walk by that place you've been 3 times already and you look down and there it is. Right where you left it. I mean, I guess I left it there. It's a really dumb place to leave it, but there it was. But at that point, when you look down and you see it, you're supposed to celebrate, right? You would celebrate. The search is over. The thing you have lost is now found. We heard that in Jesus' parable today, that the shepherd who found his sheep and the woman who found her lost coin, they both said, friends, neighbors, rejoice with me because I have found what I had lost. I should have been relieved and happy that I can finally continue with my day, that none of those wild scenarios that I made up in my head would come true. But was I happy? No. I was annoyed at myself. I was mad at myself. Why in the world would I think that this place is a good place for that garage door opener? What a dumb idea, Stephen. Come on. Or even the better reason that we should be mad. How could I be so irresponsible to lose something like this in the first place? I'd probably lose my own head if it weren't screwed on. And they let me be a pastor and a parent. I really am seeking professional help for this, I promise. But what is it that gives us, or me, this level of anxiety or anxiousness, or even anger over the act of losing something? Don't we realize that we are simply human beings that can't do everything perfectly, even if we wish we could? Or maybe that's just it. We wish we had the power to control everything around us and everything about us. We wish we would never make a mistake or a misstep or misplace anything ever. We wish we could control what happens to us, whether or not we get sick and when we die. We wish we had the ultimate control over our judgment and what happens to us in this life to come. I mean, we wish we had all that control, don't we? And often I think we try to think we have this control. We convince ourselves that we have it, or we even go as far as to try to gain that control for ourselves, which then spirals us to make us even more angry when things don't go our way, because obviously it's our fault that things get messed up. Or we lose something silly, for example, and tell ourselves that because we can't even handle something as simple as not losing this little thing, there's no way we could handle anything bigger. Which brings us back to realizing that we don't have that control that we wish we did. But wait, there's good news. We do have control over something. We have control over whether or not we want to be lost. That's not that great, is it? I was thinking about that because there's 2 times we played hide and seek recently that came to mind. And the first was not long ago. I was playing hide and seek with Charlotte, and she's new to the game. She's just figuring it out. So I would count, or she would start counting, and I would go hide. She'd come and find me. Great, we'd start over. I'd go out, and I'd count, and she'd go hide, right? And so I'd finish counting, and I'd shout, "All right, ready or not, here I come." And next thing I'd hear would be her steps down the hallway, and she comes down, and she goes, "Here I am, Dada." Not quite how we play it, but okay. But then there's another time we were playing. We had a Luther League lock-in here not too long ago, and we got into a pretty intense game of hide and seek late at night when one of our youth, Miles, found a pretty good hiding spot. And no matter how hard we tried, no one could find him. They even tried texting him to see if it would get him out of his location. It didn't work. But eventually he did emerge. I think he got tired of hiding, or he got hungry. I don't know. But those 2 times of hide and seek made me think about how often we put ourselves in one of those positions. Because I think we do have those moments when we can't stand the thought of being hidden for any length of time, whether it's from God or from one another. And we come running at the first sound of someone's voice. And we also have those moments where we want to hide forever and never emerge. You know, there's no way that God could still love me after what I've done, the way I've acted, the things I've thought. Don't you see how worthless I am, God? I can't even keep track of a garage door opener. How could I ever be a responsible human being in this world, in your kingdom? Come on, God. But yet time and time again, over and over and over, God finds us. Whether or not we want to be found, God already knows where we are, and God comes to be present with us. No matter what we've done, or how worthless we feel, or how far lost we think we've become, God finds us. And if that's not enough good news, once God finds us, we hear in the gospel that God rejoices. God, with all of the angels in heaven, rejoices over us. Just look around in this life. Look around and see those ways day in and day out that our chains have been loosened and destroyed. Look around and see those ways that we have truly been welcomed home to a life with God, no matter how far we've strayed. Look around and see all of those reasons that surround us every day that we have to rejoice because of what God has done for us. All of that, I believe, gives us a reason to give thanks and rejoice this day and every day, because we who have once been lost have indeed been found, and God rejoices. Thanks be to God. Amen.